Ah, reject. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm just setting up. Switch that up. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Hey, everybody. For those of you who are just joining, or for those of you who are already here and pending, I'm not sure if there's anybody in this room yet, but I'm going to be covering over my new program and really trying to dive into that and give you guys a good explanation of who I am, what I'm doing, what it's all about. And decided to do that today. As the program is scheduled to go live, or is live actually. I have already a couple people who are trialing the system, and that's what we're going to be covering today for about the next 30 minutes. So what I'm going to do is just stand by here for about 5 minutes to allow those who are getting the live alerts to, position themselves. Hopefully I'm not cutting into dinner time. I have 3 feeds going. I have one going to my Facebook, another going to my YouTube, and down here on Instagram. So you're going to see me mostly focusing on my computer camera, just because that's feeding to YouTube, and that's where my largest audience is. Sorry, Instagram. But I'm trying to broadcast both things and answer questions in both places. So far I have 5 people tuned in from the Facebook and YouTube feed. We're giving about 2 more minutes to 7:05 for a few other people to load up, just so I'm not talking to myself. And we'll get started. So hello to everybody. I see Blackbeard, Gent, Saint Fleur. Is that Saint Flonor? Randy, what's up? So I'm just waiting for a few more people to join in, just so we can have as productive of a conversation as possible. If you guys on Instagram or whoever is here now didn't catch the very beginning, we're going to be talking about my new program that has just launched, which is focused on trying to get you guys to make as much passive income as possible through one of the best ways that I know how. So we're going to be diving deep into that, going back into my backstory, how I got involved in real estate investing, my outlook on the current market, and what you guys should be doing really to focus yourselves and get yourselves to a better position financially, so that you're able to pursue more of the things that you love rather than, of course, working for the man. So we got about 1 more minute, and I'm going to get started. Does everybody hear me all right? And I'm not audible or you can't hear me, please let me know. Okay, that's my muted mic, but I think my level should be fine. People on YouTube and Facebook, Sheldon, thank you for confirming. Haha, another ENTP in the house. Hopefully I keep your attention long enough that you stay through the very end. I know how that could be. All right, 7:05. First and foremost, I think the most important thing for me to do is just tell you a little bit about who I am, what I stand for, and give you a sense of, if you haven't figured that out already, if you guys are just jumping onto this live and it's your first time actually interacting with me. My name is Carl Pierre. I go by ENTP Life, both on YouTube and Instagram. And that's really a nod to my Myers-Briggs personality type. I wanted to have a channel that I could focus on me and who I am, rather than being pigeonholed into a single niche. So anybody who follows me knows that I'm mostly talking about real estate, business. And then I have a bunch of other interests because I am an ENTP after all. So that will be aviation, stock trading, travel, typically travel, all things having to do with money and overall, really focused on just solving the world's problems in a way. I love to teach, I love to engage, and I like to try to apply clever solutions to very typical problems. So that's me in a nutshell. As far as my business experience, I have founded quite a few companies, ranging from home healthcare to real estate investment companies. I had a fashion tech company at one point, which I guess did moderately well as far as growth is concerned. And because I've been involved in so many different, like, how would I say this, so many different industry groups, I have like this very broad knowledge base that I'm able to connect a lot of loose ideas that really gives me an advantage over a lot of people in general. And since I have this information, I like to kind of feed it out. I started investing in real estate. Actually, my first real estate transaction was done back in 2006. I actually got involved in a deal because I was assisting my buddies get a house. We were moving off of our college campus. One of the guys figured, hey, there's a good opportunity here for us to purchase a property. I came in only as a financial contributor to the deal. I don't have an equity stake in that house, unfortunately, today. I just kind of came in just to buying up the property. But that really woke me up to the power of investing in real estate, because this house ended up becoming a rental property that we rented out to other college students, cash flows till today, and really planted that seed in my mind of the power of real estate. You know, you figure, you always hear about, you know, most millionaires and billionaires are made through owning real estate. These are all things that you hear about, but that was my first touch on doing a real estate transaction and realizing that it's fairly simple. It's not that complex. And if you apply the right tools and tactics to this craft, you can make a lot of money over, you know, the duration of time. It's not a get rich quick sort of industry, because things actually move kind of slow in real estate compared to like stock trading, for instance. And those flickers are lightning in the background, so please excuse that. What I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is go through my information and then open up for questions at each phase, right? So right now I'm just going to talk about who I am and how I got involved in real estate. And then I'll have a few questions and then I'll move into the next section. And in all, I think we're going to be here for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, I hope. So essentially, when I got into real estate, or I got hip to real estate, I realized that it's something that moves fairly slowly. But if you're involved and, you know, progressively adding to your portfolio, those numbers add up very quickly. The numbers get big fairly quickly. At present, I own and control just a little over $15 million in real estate. I'm currently working on a deal that should be valued at about $3 million when it's all said and done. It's a redevelopment project here in Fort Lauderdale. And my goal for this year before the pandemic hit was to add another $15 million in real estate, which was, you know, estimating to add about $1.5 million worth of real estate to my portfolio every single month. That was the pace that I was on at the end of 2019 in December. And then things got pretty dark. So now that we're kind of starting to see the marketplace open back up, I'm starting to get active again. I have multiple properties listed for sale, and getting a lot of action there as well. So things seem to be on the up and up, and this seemed to be the perfect time to launch the program. So what is the program itself? But before we get into what the program is itself, I just want anybody who has any questions so far, if there's any questions before I move on, to ask them now about if there's anything you want to know about me before I start talking about this investment program and the opportunity that exists for those who are watching. How could you differentiate between someone with ADD and someone who's an ENTP? That's one question. Ironically enough, I was diagnosed with ADD as a 6-year-old in first grade. Fortunately, my parents didn't medicate me because I was a scrawny kid and they didn't want to, you know, shrink me even more. I think there might be quite a few ENTPs who do have ADD. I think it might even lend to the development of our personality, since we have to hyper focus on things for a very short period of time. in order for it to stick. So we'll hyper focus, they'll stick, and then we'll get distracted by something else and kind of come in and out of this like consciousness to a degree. But I think it's an advantage. It helps me process information typically a lot faster than others. So, that I studied one other personal question, and I'll move on. I studied health technology and management with a concentration in radiological studies in college. So my background is heavily healthcare. Come from a healthcare family. It's kind of pushed down my throat. The majority of my siblings are healthcare professionals as well. And that's why, one of my main businesses is home healthcare. So that's my educational background. The beautiful thing about real estate is as long as you have, I would say, an 8th grade education, you're able to do basic math, you're able to read, you're able to use your 2 fingers, you have the tools that you need to potentially be profitable and successful in this industry. So what is this whole killing the American dream thing all about? Well, I think it's important for me to first tell you why I decided to do a training program. The training program is not a money grab. It's actually a way for me to grow my influence, right, by teaching other people. It's a way for me to grow my network, and it's a way for me to train people into my style of investing in real estate so that I can potentially tap those people in new markets that I'm trying to get into, as well as tap those people for future deals as they find success financially. The idea was born from an experience that I had going to one of those Flip That House conferences or seminars. And any of you guys who have been to most real estate seminars, especially the popular ones where there's like a name behind it, whether it's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Donald Trump's programs when he had those going, they all do the same thing. They get you excited and then they sell you. So I went forward into the first round of sales and got my weekend training. And the weekend training was pretty good. The upsell there was like $1,000 or something like that. And the weekend training was good. And it gave you some high level concepts on what to do as far as a real estate investor. But then came the second upsell, which is typical of all of these programs. And the second upsell was for mentoring. And you had to pay in $25,000 for the first level, 25 grand for the first level of mentoring. And they said that, they'll coach you and you'll work with the experts and they'll show you all that you need to know to be successful. And I naturally rebutted them by saying, hey, you know what? $25,000 is a lot of money. How about I invest in a deal alongside your team and you guys can keep my profits on the first deal. That way I get my 25K back, I get mentored, and everybody walks away with money, right? Because you're claiming that you're gonna teach me and guarantee some sort of success. So why not guarantee your money on the back end when we do a deal? Of course, they didn't like that, and I realized, these guys are full of it. And I told myself at that point, if ever I find myself in a position where I'm going to be a teacher, then I would craft this course this way. Prior to doing the Killing the American Dream program, I did some meetup trainings. I worked with people. I had this real estate 101 course where people came to my office in New York City and we talked about real estate for a few weeks in a row. And there I also learned something pretty interesting, is that most people are interested in real estate, but they're extremely afraid. They're afraid because they don't think they know what they're doing. They're just slow movers in a way. Like they're the type that kind of suffer from analysis paralysis. They just keep looking and looking. A lot of them are undercapitalized or just flat out lack the focus to get going. And I saw this same trend in a lot of my peers. Some of my friends come from a background where their parents aren't real estate owners. No one in their family has owned real estate. So when someone comes in and says, hey, you could be a real estate investor, they automatically have all the rebuttals of, no, it's not possible for me. People like me don't get ahead. Don't you need to be rich? All the, the reasons not to get involved. And, those are two things that I saw in common. So I was like, you know what? I need to kind of get to a point where I could handhold people and at the same time give them the necessary information that they need to move forward. So that's kind of like the background for why I created a program. Now, the name of the program, Killing the American Dream, is kind of like a double entendre, a dual meaning for the title. First of all, the modern American dream is completely not what I believe in. The modern American dream is, go to school, get educated, get a job, get married, buy your house, retire at 67 and a half years old, and then, I don't know, I guess die. And to me, that just doesn't resonate, right? It never did, never will. And it was really difficult for me growing up to have people tell me that I need to kind of go down this road where I am, being successful, right? And the signs of success were all those things: going to college, getting a good job, buying your own real estate, getting married, having children. All of these were like the things that people were aspiring to. And I even fell into that, to a certain degree. And I was just like, this is not making me happy. This isn't what's going to allow me to be happy. What's going to allow me to be happy is to do whatever the hell I want, whenever I want. And that's where kind of I started to reject that concept of, go to school, get married, blah, blah, blah. So that's the idea. And that's the first American dream that I want to kill. Is this new model that's really just trying to position everybody to be, indebted to the max and living and working just to support their debt obligations, right? I know a lot of you who are here, student loans, maybe, you don't own real estate because down payment prices are too high. You're just seeing things get more and more expensive all the time, plus all the uncertainty in the market. So I know that most people can identify and resonate with that feeling of not being satisfied with this current model. But I'm the child of immigrant parents. My parents came from Haiti. They came young, fortunately for them. They came in the 70s. And at that time, the United States was starting to kind of move out of a recession in a way. And they were looking to build our workforce. I guess we lost a lot of people in the war, and things were moving along as far as our economy was concerned. So they were more welcoming to immigrants. So my parents, fortunately, came to the US, got educated here, and made their way. But for them, coming to America and making their way was a real thing. This was like a real accomplishment, right? My father, for instance, said that he achieved his dreams the minute that he found a job here in the United States. That was his dream, was to get out of Haiti and just be living the American life. And the American dream that's sold, or historically sold, is that you come to this country for opportunity. You come to this country to, set your stake, set your claim to the land, set your claim to a margin of the business or a pocket of the business or the business industry. And if you work hard and you work smart, you will be rich. So I want people to kind of retool their mindset so that they're killing in a positive way that version of the American dream, where they're still out there trying to set their stake, trying to get ahead, and really allowing themselves to flourish with, the right capitalist mentality. There's not many places like the United States where, there's plenty of access to capital, from the banks, from, private investors. There are laws that make it very easy that even as a foreigner, you could come here and, move and shape rather quickly, especially when you compare them to most other financial systems. So we have a very unique situation here. Another thing that's unique about the United States is that property values and rents are fairly high. And if you're taking advantage of that, you're going to make larger and larger spreads where you become more and more wealthy on just about a global level, right? So that's the meaning behind this Killing the American Dream and why I entitled it that way. I want you guys to kill this modern version of just being a cog in the machine and kill the version that, our ancestors who came here building, the vision of America had, where they were coming here for opportunity and coming here to make a difference in their lives, right? So that's what I want you guys to focus on. Now, the program is structured. It's actually really involved. It is 14 lessons, about 15 hours of how to invest in real estate. It starts out from the very basic beginning point, and what I believe to be the beginning point, which is assembling your team. That's lesson number one. How do you go about investing in real estate? What should you have? Who should be on your team? Because this is not a one-man show. This is a integral dance between a lot of different professionals, a lot of different people. And if you're going to be successful, you're going to need to have a team that understands what they're doing and can advise you on what's good and what's bad. Okay. And then it goes into each step and progresses you through the process of being fully educated while doing practical exercises that will reinforce the skills or reinforce what's being taught. Okay. So that way, when you are making offers and you are starting to make progress in your journey, that you're just drawing from your exercises. Okay. So I model this after what it's really like to go through the process and what my process has been. And I condensed, years of experience down to 15 hours. All right. You're going to learn how to analyze deals the right way. You're going to learn how to build that team, who should be on your team, how to screen those people, how to manage renovations, how to manage your tenants, how to screen your tenants, and all the other tools that I use, access to documents for raising capital, how to raise money for your deals. I even share what lenders I work with, the pros and cons of those lenders. And for those people who are really committed and also need what I would say is hand-holding or the extra support, I have a mentorship option, okay? Unlike the mentorship option that was presented to me. The mentorship option here at Killing the American Dream is what I wish I had for myself, right? So instead of getting paid to mentor you and teach you, what I know, which I think is kind of ludicrous, I wanted to make sure that anybody who was pursuing mentoring was getting what I would perceive to be the best training, right? Similar to my healthcare background, it's more like a residency where you're physically doing a deal or you're physically doing a surgical procedure or something along those lines, so that when you are released, you are, capable of executing on your own, right? Building that confidence, ensuring that there's me, the experienced guy there as your safety net, sharing the risk with you. I'm in on the deals as well. And really the way that I get paid from that is on the exit, right? So if you were to come in as an investor who's doing our Earn and Learn program, you go through the entire course, you put up money for a deal, and as we're doing the deal, you're learning all of the lessons, in real life, okay? And like I said, I designed it that way because I thought that would have been the best way for me to learn, and it's what I wish the other, trainers and gurus and those people out there who are robbing people would actually do. What I want to do is, work with people who are like me, work with people who are looking for ways to produce passive income, looking for ways to increase their wealth, increase their net worth, and really looking for all sorts of people, right? Because there's going to be the early adopters, the guys who are quick, who even start making offers before they complete the program. There's going to be the people who, perform really well after they go through all the steps and understand everything. They're able to move forward. And then there's a group of people who, obviously need to be managed a little bit to get them across that line. But the beautiful thing is, the more of these deals that you do, the better you get at them. It starts to become second nature. The first deal feels a little stressful, but once you've gone through one successfully, you start to know that, the moving parts aren't that complex. So before I go into the kind of pricing structure and how everything is modeled, I am going to turn to the questions. and give you guys an opportunity to ask a little bit more. So far, I have Detective Halverson. What's going on? I know that we spoke about things previously. Where are you now? Looks like an interesting place. Okay, this is Spaces in Fort Lauderdale, which is a company that is owned by the Regis Group, and they developed co-working spaces that I guess were meant to compete with WeWork in a way. I myself own a co-working space in New York City called Solar Spaces. It is not this sexy. It's pretty basic. It's about 40 executive offices furnished, starting at around $1,000 to as high as $2,000, $2,400 a month, depending on the size of the office. But this place is pretty cool. That background is real. Another question from the USA is the most interesting place to have a baby. Can't have a baby in the hospital. You know, the US is the worst place to have a baby. I don't know. I haven't had babies anywhere else, so I'm not too concerned with that. But if that's a concern of yours, then you should have babies somewhere else in the world. Now, going on to Instagram. See if there's any questions here. Hugh Hefner lived the true American dream. He did in many ways and lived a long life. Okay, so there's actually no more questions from both Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. So we're in good shape to continue moving forward. So to explain to you what is the pricing structure for the program, it is super simple. I created 3 tiers, and the very first tier is a monthly subscription. Super cheap, $97 a month. That's $3 a day. If you just kind of try to bang it out, one lesson after the other, I think the average person may get through the course in about 2 to 3 months, just because some of the lessons are involved and will take time. You're going to be interviewing contractors. You're going to be interviewing, the members of your team. That takes time. Other lessons and assignments, can be completed in like 3 hours, 2 hours in a single day. So I would say the average person could complete the program in about 2 to 3 months, but we have this entry price point of $97 a month. That way you could see the program, see if it's for you. We do have a money back guarantee within 30 days. If you finish the first half of the course and you're dissatisfied, then you get a refund. I don't dip into the membership money. I don't really need the membership money. So, once it's the 30 days has elapsed, then that money gets kind of committed to the earned income pot. Before then, it just kind of sits in the account until, you guys realize whether it's for you or not. And the last thing I want is people talking bad on me, saying that my course is trash or whatever. I know it's not, but I'd rather give you your money back than deal with, negativity. It's just not for me. The second pricing option is a lifetime membership option, and this will give you exposure to whatever other courses I put out. Right now, the Killing the American Dream program focuses on 1 to 4 family real estate investing. I may do a course on co-working spaces, so you could set something like this up. I may do a course on multifamily, which is 5 units and more. And I may do courses on all kinds of things. So as my interest changed and as my focus changed and I decided to do more robust courses like this one, I'll add it under the ENTP Life banner, and those who buy into everything. Okay, so it's a one-time fee of $2,000. And I know some people are rolling their eyes saying that's a lot, but I'm going to explain that number in just a second. But it's $2,000 and it gives you access to everything. Okay, you don't have to worry about managing a monthly membership or anything like that. It's actually the same level of access as the $97 program, except you have exposure to future courses, and that's it. Now, the reason I added that $2,000 one is because I went to a seminar that was called the National Grant Conference. And at the National Grant Conference, I bought into a $2,000 program. They sold me a book. Listen to this. They sold me a book with every state and federal loan and grant program in the United States. And in this book, I came across the FHA 203K loan program, and this was in 2008, okay, fall 2008. Obama just got elected. They were doing the first-time home buyer credit in 2009. They were trying to stimulate the housing market in that way. But in that book, I found this program, and I used it in March 2009 to buy a property. All right. Now that property I still own to today. It's up over $150,000 in equity. It also generates on good months about $1,500 a month in cash flow. On bad months, because it's a student rental, right now my students are not there, so it's not doing so well. But on your average bad month, winter months when the heating costs are high, I might do about $800 a month in cash flow on that one. So on that $2,000 program, I found one thing that was useful for me. It allowed me to buy a house that was dilapidated. It allowed me to renovate it with that mortgage. And it gave me the background that I needed to start investing in, these distressed assets using hard money, because those programs were designed almost identically, the 203K and how my hard money lenders today and most hard money lenders function. So if I didn't spend $2,000 on that course, I may have never gone down this path of flipping houses in this way. I might have, I might not have, I don't know. But spending $2,000 on a freaking book got me motivated, because it was like, you know what? I can't be one of those people who bought into a program and just got swindled out of money. So for people who think like me and who maybe need to light a fire under themselves, that's the reason why I have that $2,000 option. I don't care if you buy that option or you buy the $97 option. It's just there. It's really there to light a fire under your butt, So that's why that price is there. Now, as far as the invest and learn option, that's something that is discussed heavily within the course. But just to give you, the long and short on that, the minimum investment amount is $10,000. That money gets escrowed with my attorney, Darren Sheehan. We escrow that money. Once the raise for whatever the project is completed. It may be 60,000, it may be 100,000, maybe 200,000, depending on the size of the group. Minimum entry is 10,000. There is no maximum, and whoever is involved in a particular deal is assigned membership certificates of the LLC that's going to be purchasing that entity. It's a 60-40 split. 40% of profits get redistributed back to investors. The other 60% is mine. It's my way of getting compensated on the deal. You guys get compensated on the deal as well, as long as everything kind of pans out. What does that look like? So let's just say it was a $100,000 deal. And I raised $25,000 from 4 people. They came in to that particular property to do the invest and learn. We make our offers together. We pick out, how we're going to finish the house, go through the logic of that, manage the renovation, list a property for sale. That property sells for $150,000, right? What happens to the $50,000 profit? Let's just use square numbers, not including fees and all that stuff. We take that $50,000 and we split it, 30K to me, 20K to the investors. 30K to me, 20K to the investors. It says it's split 4 ways. They're going to each get $5,000, right, as a return on their investment. So they got the education, they got their initial money back, and a little bit of a profit. And from there, we can roll over and do more deals, or they, in theory, should be ready to go out on their own while getting paid to participate. Okay, like I said, the purpose of this program for me was to build my network, grow my influence, and eventually develop future investors to tackle bigger and bigger deals with me. All right, so it's almost like me developing my own investor pool while developing talent and while developing people so that they themselves can kill the American dream. And that's pretty much, the way that it works. Now, if you guys are interested in signing up for that program, I do have a link in the description, which is www.entplife.com/ killing the American dream, with a bunch of hyphens in between it. So you should see that in the description. I do have, for those of you who make it obviously to the end, I have a promotion, and that promotion is only running for, I think, 3 more days for early adopters. The discount code is early. So whatever level of membership you're buying, whether it's $97 or the $2,000 plan, the discount code is early. All right. So that's only going to be in effect for a few more days. And I'm probably not going to do any other discounts because it's already cheap as it is. But I want to test that discount code, see if it makes a difference. Who knows? Now, aside from that, I don't think I'm announcing anything else. Actually, tomorrow on ENTP Life on YouTube, I'm going to be doing a introduction to investing in the stock market. That's something that my subscriber base has said that they're interested in. I've been trading now since 2009. So I'll be covering, kind of market investing like 101. That's probably going to be about a 7-part series, free on YouTube. Like I said, most of the things that I share, I don't charge for. I only charge for direct consulting. Like when I'm doing things outside of YouTube, I charge for that. And for this course, I'm charging for just for hosting and management and that sort of thing. What else is there? I don't think there's any other housekeeping items for me. So at this point, I'm just going to open the floor for questions related to real estate and this particular program. And we'll probably do that for about another 10 minutes or so. And anybody who does have questions, I'm here to answer them. Okay, so Chill Mill on Instagram said this was called FHA, FHO loans. No, it's called FHA. I believe it stands for the Federal Housing Authority. 203K. What's cool about that program, and if you go to my YouTube channel, I talk about it quite a bit, but the FHA 203K loan program is one of the very few, insured mortgages, government insured mortgages that allow you to buy a house that is not livable and borrow the money that you need to renovate the house before you move in. So it allows the general public really to get the same options as investors get. So you're able to get this distressed house at a discount, renovate it to your liking, take care of things that may be an issue, boiler, roof, all the big ticket items that might crush a homeowner when they own a home. You get to, design your house the way that you want it, minus luxury items. Like I don't think you could use it for a pool or anything like that. But it's a really cool program because it allows you to buy a 1 to 4 family house, distressed, with only 3.5% down and a mediocre credit score. I think right now it's at the mid 6s because of the uncertainty due to the pandemic, but it used to be as low as 620. But I think now it's like 650 or 680 is the cutoff. But it's a great introductory program if you're doing your first deal. 3.5% down to own a 4-family house is, I think, pretty awesome. Okay, Detective Haverson. Yes, I have one child that I know of. I have a little girl, and she is 1 year old, an adorable little girl. What is your Instagram handle? Good question. I believe it's ENTP_life. So it's the same as what you see here on the screen, ENTP Life, but I believe there's an underscore between the two. I'm not that big on Instagram as a platform. I don't really like it that much. I don't really use it that much. So I don't promote it. So I don't really know. So ENTP life should be my handle. Paul Orozco. Paul or Roscoe? Okay, Paul. The end projects will most likely be in the two markets that I'm present in. So that's like the New York City and surrounding suburbs, about 100 miles out. So that's New York City up into Orange County, Rockland County, Putnam County, then out into Suffolk and Nassau, and then out west into like northern New Jersey is my main area in New York. And now that I'm down here in Fort Lauderdale, I'm putting together my team here, and I am currently doing a project in Fort Lauderdale, and we'll continue to do projects in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and I'm looking to set up a partnership in Orlando to do some ground up development with a guy named Orlando. So that would be where I'm focusing as far as the investments are concerned. So if you're in those markets, it's even better because you could actually visit the construction sites, et cetera, and that's really a good way to learn. Depending on which project is underway, you'll either be meeting with me on site or with one of my project managers if it's in a different city from where I'm physically at on that day, and they'll be walking you through and kind of teaching you what to look for and what's happened. As far as other markets that I'm interested in, I'm kind of interested in every landlord-friendly state. And I'm very interested in states that don't have any state tax. That's why I'm down here in Florida. And the cool thing about this program is that multiple people are there from all cities. And the larger my activity in my community is, the more likely I am to kind of take a chance in another city, because we teach you how to focus on properties in your local market. I think that makes the most sense. To invest in your local market if you're going to be going at it alone, because the neighborhood, where it gets good, where it gets bad, where the transition's happening. So I highly recommend that you start in your own neighborhood. But if I see that you're getting it, or you're an Invest and Learn member, and you found a deal that was really good, that you wanted to invest in, and you needed a partner on the deal, I'm always down, because there's going to be people who take this course who are just as good or even better than me, or will become better than me in this game, right? There's no question about that. So when those people are sourcing good deals and going out there and drumming up, something worthwhile, I want to hear about it, because they may have a deal that might be out of their budget, and that deal gets routed to me because they need an extra 100,000 or million, whatever the number is, to make that deal happen. So, I'm very open to trying new cities and setting, up little shops in each city and working with the people who participate in the program, because I already know that they're looking at real estate the same way that I would, and will be able to identify what's good and what's bad, and really give me a fast track into expanding into new markets. Black Panthers asking, so the projects will be located, so the properties will be located in each person's area. Really depends. The projects are going to be located primarily in the markets that I know the best, and then secondary to where I get large, enrollment. So let's just say if a city like Atlanta, I get large enrollment. I have a friend out there who's investing in real estate, Mike, Mojo Grip. So he's been looking at different deals in Atlanta. He lives out there. And, if there are a few members who are from Atlanta and they want to do a deal together and invest and learn, then I would definitely do a deal in Atlanta, because I have contacts, people to work with there. It's not that bad of a flight from New York. So that's how I would approach dealing with different markets. But primarily, I'll be funneling the groups and the mentees into deals in the markets that I know the best, which are the markets that I'm active in now. Do you see, this is Chris Evans, Michelle. I think Chris Evans, Michelle. Do you see plenty of opportunities for real estate investing with the possible mortgage situation in the US? Listen, the government pumped trillions of dollars to try to stabilize our market. The stock market has been kind of insane. I've received, federal assistance in a large way. So there's extra money that's kind of sitting around. I have properties that are getting accepted offers on the same day that they're listed. It almost seems insane, but things seem fairly okay. So what do I see happening in this particular environment? Are the weak hands not participating? Those who are well capitalized, those who are familiar with this game will be okay. People who didn't have much money or maybe over leveraged to begin with are going to just get shaken out, and there's going to be opportunities for those who are in the know and those who are able to move. But this particular problem is hurting mostly the travel and transportation industries, airlines, hotels, cruises. Retail is, getting smacked up. So it's not affecting all industries in a way. So retail, bars, restaurants, entertainment are getting killed, but the real estate industry, what's funny is people look at recessions and crashes and have been like, oh my God, the real estate market's going to tank. And that's because they're wishing that it tanks because they didn't take advantage of the crash in 2008, 2009, 2010, when prices were bottoming out. That was a crash in that market, not just because the general market crashes or change in market conditions. What happened there is that there was overproduction and the lending criteria were trash. So that market imploded. The bubble was there and it imploded and contracted significantly. That wasn't the case coming into the coronavirus recession, right? So, or the coronavirus contraction, whatever you want to call this. So leading into that, new housing starts were at an all-time high. Market inventory was already low back in the end of the winter. I was getting notices from agents all the time, like expect prices to continue to rise because inventory is low. There's low new home inventory. There's low renovated home inventory. And I'm seeing that right now. And think about it. For the past 3 months, people haven't been flipping properties. The banks haven't been selling deals. So the few properties that are available and people are like hungry to buy their properties before the fall kicks in because they want to move before school starts again. Right now the market is hot and it's kind of crazy, but that's the current condition. The banks are coming back, like the banks froze lending for, just to figure out what was going on. And their appetite is back in. They're starting to reintroduce programs. So I got to say, I'm fairly optimistic. I think maybe in like the lower market, there may be, less activity, or maybe places that were heavily funded by tourism. You might see like some entry-level properties not selling as much because those people are the ones who might have lost their jobs. But so far, things are okay. Let me see. Is this only for fix and flip or buy and hold? Okay, so KJ asked that. So KJ, the invest and learn option is right now focused on buy, fix and flips. That way we get you recapitalized with your investment amount and that profit distribution to you. As long as we turn a profit on the deal. Not every deal is profitable. I would say maybe 85% of them are. Some deals are not good, but they're not total losses, right? So if there was a deal that for whatever reason didn't produce much money or took a small loss, it happens, but it wouldn't be like your entire investment gets wiped out. Maybe 10-15% haircut on what you put in. For the experience, I would say that's even worth more than the profit, because you'd learn what makes a deal kind of fall apart. It's shared risk in that way. But I'm going off tangent. Okay, so it's for fix and flips, because like I said, once we exit, you get recapitalized. maybe move into the next deal. If I take on people for my typical buy and hold projects, especially for a family, there's just not enough money to keep managing the other investors. I would probably do a deal, let's just say one fix and flip, come into a buy and hold. But in that second scenario, I would most likely teach the strategy of like raising money through promissory notes, where you're giving an interest payment to the investor, right? So you, as the investors in the Invest and Learn program, you would get an interest rate payment that would probably be better for me than going to my hard money lenders. That way you earn on the deal, but I'll cash you out in a refinance, right? So you wouldn't maintain your position. You wouldn't have a position in the particular property, but you would be present for the same exact thing. What I want to do is focus more on the fix and flip, because it's everything that you would need to know up until the refinance point and managing tenants point. And I think for people who are just getting started in this game, the fix and flip is a good way to build your cash so that you're able to do more buy and holds. Like, I like to keep about 80% of my portfolio, or the projects that I take on, because I'm a firm believer in the buy and hold strategy. It's what produces money off the long term. That's where the passive income is coming in. That's where the wealth building happens. But I will flip properties that are better as flips, because it might be a house that doesn't satisfy the 1% rule, right? That if I sell it, I make $100,000, but if I rented it, I would be breaking even. That's going to be flipped. But when you do flip properties, you build up your cash reserves. That way you're able to do more deals. You want to get to a point where you're doing 3 deals, 4 deals, 5 deals a month. You're doing 5 deals a month, averaging $50K a deal. You're doing all right. So that's kind of what I want people. That's the point that I want people to get to, so that now they start burning properties, flipping properties, producing income, so that they can pay for their property managers, pay for their team, pay for their marketing, and then they're at the same time they're building their portfolio, right? So if you're keeping 4 out of every 5 projects, but the one property that you sell keeps the operation going, keeps the lights on, keeps your contractors paid, keeps your project managers paid, keeps your ads out, that's, to me, the right mix. And plus, you still can generate some money for like the toys of life, buying yourself new things. That's always kind of good, to be able to reward yourself. Oscar asked, are you the owner of a healthcare agency? Yep, I am. And when it comes to real estate investing, do you look for cash flow or appreciation for homes? I always look for cash flow, and I always look for forced appreciation. By forced appreciation is, how can I add value to this property? So usually I buy distressed assets, so messed up houses, either financially distressed or physically distressed. It's usually both. And I want to make sure that I'm buying this house, renovating it, creating increased value through those renovations, right? Bringing it up to market standards, having that equity spread between what I spent and what it's worth, right? So that reflects on my financial statement and reflects on my net worth. And then I will rent that property out for cash flow. So if it achieves both cash flow and that appreciation of not appreciation, but the forced equity, I'm happy, because I know I could sell it and cash out, and I know that from the minute that I start renting it, I'm cash flowing. I don't buy to speculate on real estate. I'm not somebody who's going to buy a property today that is performing at 4% and say, I think in 3 years it's going to be worth 20% more, because I can't predict the future that well. So I don't, without me getting the property at a discount and having a nice equity cushion there, I don't do the deal. Let me see if I have any questions. I'm sorry if I'm neglecting you guys here. Okay, Chill Mill said, how does your program differ? That's a good question. Differ from traditional real estate schools in New York City or online? Real estate schools teach you how to be a real estate salesperson or a real estate agent, right? The majority of real estate agents that I've ever worked with don't know anything about investing in real estate. They'll bring you horrible deals. All they care about is generating a fee off of the transaction, whether it's the broker's fee for renting or the sales commission from representing you as the seller, or representing you as a buyer. So they'll show you deals that just don't make any sense, that don't cash flow, that won't have the equity after it's repaired. So real estate schools teach you how to be a real estate salesperson. They don't teach you how to invest. There's plenty of real estate agents who don't own real estate. There's plenty of real estate agents who would not be able to, find a deal if it hit them on the head. So that's the main difference. So my course is designed for the real estate investor. I don't care about real estate sales. I don't care about any of that stuff. The laws governing real estate sales, that's the real estate agent's job. It's not, I don't need to know that. So, I teach you more how to find good agents, how to screen those agents, how to educate those agents so they know what to find you and what to target. So that's the main difference. With that being said, is now the time to invest in airlines or hotels? We're talking about real estate today. If you want to talk about investing in, stocks, we could talk about that tomorrow. But I'm not going to give that kind of advice. I trade stocks. I'm looking at technical analysis, price action, how the industry is doing overall. I think those markets are like, I think a good play might be to buy a poorly managed hotel that had gone out of business in a good market with the ability to renovate it and convert it back into apartments or renovate it and be a hotel operator. I've never owned a hotel, so I wouldn't necessarily be able to advise someone on how to do that, but I could see plays happening there where it's just like, kind of smaller, undercapitalized owner operators. They might be bleeding to the point that they're willing to let go of a pretty good property. What's the typical turnaround time for a deal? I would say typical is about 7 months to 9 months. That's from Jay Fusen, and that's my buddy Jason. So I would say the typical deal is completed, renovations and everything, in about a 3-month period, right? That's typical, right? Some deals I can push through them in 6 weeks, but typical I would say is about 3 months, right? And that's like for a gut renovation with inspections and that sort of thing. It'll take about 3 months. The other 3 months are the listing phase and the exit. You could have a house in contract within a week that takes 2 months to close because it's a FHA closing or the seller, switched attorneys or something like that. So I would say realistically speaking, first month you're probably getting permits, getting everything in order. Next 2 months you completed renovations. Your listing, that could take anywhere from a day to maybe 2 to 3 months to get get under contract, and then another 60 days to close. So realistically speaking, 7 to 9 months is the turnaround time if you're flipping. If I'm buying and refinancing the property using the BRRRR model, I could be out as fast as 6 to 8 weeks. And it depends on the condition of the property, once again. But from the time that I'm done, I could be refinanced within 7 days, sometimes 10 days, and be recapitalized. So 2 months to 3 months there. Let me see if there's any other questions. What up, Joel? Welcome aboard. Will your $2,000 course at some point include strategies on starting Airbnb? Says Chris Michelle. Or Michael, I don't know if I'm butchering that. So My Airbnb exposure so far is I've been covering it on YouTube for free. Um, I'm actually going to be in New York this week actually. I might try to pick up a few more. But will it include Airbnb? It's a possibility. I think the most natural next course that I would teach is the 5 units or more, or the co-working space before Airbnb, because I feel like Airbnb, in my opinion, is so simple that it doesn't. I think with a few YouTube searches you could figure it out. Um, it's not that complicated. It's a pure rent-to-rent strategy, or if you own a property, you just decorate it, take some pictures, and you're good to go. Oh man. Yeah, so Instagram kills videos in 1 hour. I didn't even realize it's been an hour. Yeah, for those of you who didn't see the entire sequence, just know that I'm promoting my real estate investing program, where I'm teaching you how to invest in real estate step by step, 15 hours of straight line content. It's not me pulling crap from all over the place. This is exclusive content, not found on my channel. My channel is a good supplement to this course, but this is purely step by step how to do what I'm doing. Let me see, post this. I don't know what's happening. See, this is why I don't like Instagram. Share to IGTV. Sorry, guys. I'm showing you my age here. KTAD. Okay, so I'll probably open up my live again just to close out. Sorry, everybody. And I'm live again. Sorry, Instagram has that thing that it does. So the next question is from So Special. Do you purchase at auction, or do you prefer purchasing at a set price? I prefer purchasing at set prices. So I get most of my deals are listed deals or off-market deals from wholesalers that I build a relationship with. Sometimes I get deals that are not listed because of the agent relationships that I have. They may have something that is kind of funky, and they're not sure if they could sell it on the public market because they know there's not that many people that would be interested in it. So they might bring it to me if I've done a deal with them in the past. I also source deals independently. And what else is another deal source? That's inside the course. I got a few in there, but different relationships that I spur up, I'll get my properties. The auctions, I like I said, one of my main functions is home healthcare. So during normal business hours, for the most part, my mind is on that. So that's where a big chunk of revenue comes in for me. So I can't be in the courthouse, or I can't be at an auction. Sometimes properties that are on the list get pushed to another day. So ideally, the short answer is I don't really buy that many auction properties. Long answer is what I just gave you. Next question, am I currently in the US? Yes, I am. What if there was a huge crash? Rumors only. If there's a huge crash, everybody's screwed. And I hope that I'm in a better position than them. So I don't really get too worried about crashes because they're kind of a normal thing. So crashes don't concern me. I think the thing that I do to protect myself against crashes is just making sure that I'm buying at good prices, right? So in your typical market correction, you're looking at 15 to 30% pullbacks in the value of assets. So I usually abide by a rule where I don't go past 70%, and that's for two reasons. One, so I can survive the correction and not be underwater. And the second reason that I do that is because a lot of lenders are now lending up to 75% loan to value. So if I'm in at 70%, that means I could do my cash out refinance, get all my money back, and cover my fees at the 70%, 75% mark. So that's my way of kind of hedging against the risk involved of market corrections and changes and crashes and that sort of thing. But I don't really get too crazy about that. The next question is from Stone8419. Can you start with $97 a month and then pay off the balance down the road? I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure if you're saying from the perspective of the, what's it called, like the $2,000 option. I would say, if you're paying $97 a month for the program, which is currently, I have a discount code that's going to be up for the next few days. Of discount codes is early, just as it's spelled, and you get 50% off. So you could get into this program for under $50. So I don't think you need to take a payment plan out unless you're thinking about the $2,000 option. But honestly, if money is tight for you, I would just go with the lowest option, because it's the same level of access right now, because I only have one program up. So, I'm not going to try to get you into a payment plan for a $2,000 program. I mean, the best value is the $97 or the invest and learn, because when you do the invest and learn, you get the $2,000 access point where you get access to everything that I do because you invested in a deal, So I would say that's the best option. If you're ready to kind of move and you have the capital available to you. If you don't and you're looking to learn, I mean, for the discounted price, $50, if you can't afford $50, I don't mean to sound like a jerk, but if you can't afford $50 to learn something that should make you thousands and into the millions if you keep repeating, then go out there and panhandle or something. I'm late. What are we talking about? Okay, so 33 hip hop. You're gonna have to rewind that. But in short, I launched my program called Killing the American Dream. It's a 15-hour step-by-step how to invest in 1 to 4 family real estate program. It has 3 levels of access. One is $97 a month subscription model. You pay for it as you go. $2,000 model that gives you lifetime access, so it's not a monthly payment, and that gives you access to any other program that I put out in the future, whether it's 5 family and up, commercial real estate, co-working space. Somebody's asking for Airbnb, so maybe one day Airbnb, whatever I put out there. So it really depends on you and what you can afford. And the third option is the Invest and Learn program. That's a minimum investment amount of $10,000. And on top of that, I screen those people because I don't want you giving me your last $10,000 and harassing me when coronavirus part 2 hits. I don't want you in a deal if you can't handle having your money tied up. That's just from personal experience. I don't like dealing with people like that. So I will kind of scrub who's getting involved because, I don't necessarily need the money. It's great to have more capital available to me because I do more deals. It's just a volume thing. But the last thing I need is another headache. So, the people that are pulled into the Invest and Learn have to be in better financial positions, have to have a different relationship with money. I don't want you, taking your only $10,000 and investing it in this. I would recommend against that. What did you study in college, and how did your inferior C influence your experience? I went to pharmacy school for a year. And then after pharmacy school, when I was at pharmacy school, I transferred to another university. And then I started studying pharmacology with a women's study minor. And then I went into radiology. So that's what I studied. Right? And then as far as my inferior C influence your experience, I don't know. I think overall, I try to experience as much as possible. I like to learn what is interesting to me, and I like to be in the environment. So I don't know how that's helped me, but I know I've learned a lot about a lot, and I apply what I learn every day. Is there any other questions here? Edgar, what's going on? Os, what's cooking? Edgar is one of the real estate agents that I work with out in Long Island. He's actually representing me on 2 transactions right now. One sell side, one rental. So thanks for tuning in. And if you need somebody who understands what an investor could potentially look for, you might want to reach out to Edgar Reyes. That's on Instagram. So he's in there. And you know, I think I might have purchased, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 deals with Edgar representing me over the years, and listed quite a few properties with him. So, you know, he knows what I'm looking for. He understands what I'm looking for. Sometimes we have, you know, a little friction on what I think is good or bad, or sometimes this is something that's happened. Like there was a property in Bayshore that the 2 families that were near the Second Avenue house, and I was like refusing to go up in price. And these were good deals. Like in hindsight, these were good deals. And I was like, nah, man, I'm not going over this price. Like, I think the market's already at its top. This was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I think the market has topped out. I'm not paying up. I was just paying, you know, 40%, not 40%, like 20% less last year. I'm not doing this to myself. And we didn't get those deals. And today, those properties are probably worth close to, you know, double, almost double. So, you know, that sort of thing happens. But it's important to have those people on your team who understand what you're looking for, so that when things are, you know, really match your criteria, they know to act, they know to bring it to you right away. You asking me for vaccine recommended? Yes, take vaccines, man. They work. So if a vaccine came out for COVID, I'll take it just so I can move on with my life. If I turn into a zombie, then whatever. Have you done any investing in Detroit? What do you think about that market? I haven't done any investing in Detroit. I think the properties are cheap. I know that the tenancy laws are in the favor of the landlord out in Michigan. I think what's cool about Detroit is that there's a lot of inventory, and this is something that I like. When inventory is cheaper to buy and renovate than the new construction cost, I like those situations because you're inherently getting something under market value. In order to replace that product, let's just say it's a 2,000 square foot house in Detroit that you bought at $40 per square foot. There's no way you're building a new construction at that price in Detroit. So if you're in the right neighborhoods that are still alive, and you're getting properties at, you know, a discount to replacement cost, I always think it's a go. And I think what's another thing that's cool about Detroit or even other like cities that have gotten really hurt in the United States is that rents are still kind of high, right? Like, let's just say you got a house for, you know, all in $50,000 in Detroit that you could rent out for $800. I don't know the numbers, but let's just say it was that. You're doing like, you know, close to 15% a year on that investment. So, you know, I know I'm not getting 15% on my cash sitting around in the bank. So I'm not opposed to Detroit. I think the only things about Detroit that I dislike is the cold. And, you know, in cold markets, when you're buying properties that have been vacant, you could always expect the plumbing to be shot. So it's always going to drive your renovations cost a bit. But like down here in warm markets, you're not going to have that problem, right? There's going to be no frozen pipe damage that, you know, dries up your renovations cost by like 8 to 15K. So where Donna Rousey asks, where do I get my money from for your deals? From anywhere I could get it. I will raise money from friends and family. I will raise money from investment clubs. I will raise money from strangers. I will raise money from people in this course. I get money from hard money lenders. I get money from traditional lenders. I get money from, any source possible. I get money from my other businesses that are profitable. And I take that money and then invest it in real estate over and over and over again. So I think one of the things that we teach in this course is kind of how to approach getting money. And I think if you're going to raise money or even get money from a hard money lender, you need to have the education. Because, for example, my hard money lenders, when you contact them and you're like, hey, I got this deal, they grill you and they interview you to see if you understand what the hell you're talking about, right? Because at the end of the day, they're investing their money, or the lenders have investors, right? Let me repeat that. Lenders have investors, and they need to do what's in the best interest of the investors, because if they lose those investors or don't return a profit for those investors, they have no fund, okay? So they want to make sure you know what you're doing. So if this is your first time doing business with them and you're not doing a deal with me or somebody else who is experienced that they have a relationship with, they're really going to grill you. And they're going to want to make sure that you know what you're doing. So you absolutely, bright lights, you absolutely need to know what you're doing, the language of the industry, how to perceive a deal, the what if scenarios, because they're going to ask you kind of like, well, what are you going to do if you don't sell the house in 12 months? What's your alternate exit? And you're like, I guess I'm going to move in. They're going to say, well, we don't fund deals like that. So I think to answer that question, I will get capital from any source possible, and I teach you all of the sources that I know are viable sources. Ultimately, you're going to need education. You're going to need to know what you're talking about. After education, you're going to need a track record. The people who are going to invest money with you or give you money when you're just, starting out are people who love you, are people who trust you for being a good person, a smart person. They're going to be the first people to finance your deals. After that, after you had some success and you know what the hell you're talking about, then you can start going to strangers, because now the performance of your past is what you're using to be, I guess, a salesman. Like, I've done 5 deals in the last year. Average return on investments 33%. If you come in as an investor, we split it 50-50, 60-40, whatever the spread is that you're going to use. These are for the last 5 deals. These are the next 3 deals I'm looking at. I have this house under contract. This deal is ready to go. I need 60 grand. Are you in? And that's the conversation becomes different at that point, because they know you know what you're talking about, and they may have the money to finance you. Also, people who are your friends and family who weren't believers in the past will come around and see you doing better and better each time, and then all of a sudden they may have some money for you, right? When they see that there's a horse to ride and make some money on, they come back around. So that's usually the cycle. But there's plenty. Don't ever get it twisted. People who have money have a big problem on their hands, which is competing with inflation. Banks giving 1% or 0.1%. And you see that the government just printed more money, so food costs are going up. Fortunately, gas isn't, struggling too much, and that's the vacuum. So I'm probably going to cut out soon. But the main thing is that people who have money do not want their money losing value against time, right? So money is always looking to be, people with money are smarter than people without money typically. as far as understanding how money works is concerned. So the more money that they have on their books not invested is a huge problem for them. That's why they'll usually park their money up in stocks, bonds, real estate, venture capital, all these other places, because they know that their money will eventually become worth, get closer and closer to being worth zero if it's not invested in things that are appreciating or growing at a pace that outperforms inflation. If inflation averages 3 to 4% a year and the stock market averages 7 to 10%, depending on what cycle you're looking at, obviously it makes sense to just park your money in real estate in some index funds rather than it being in your bank account, because at least that's going to outperform inflation. Same thing with real estate. If you're investing in properties that are doing 7, 8% a year in cash flow, makes more sense to be in that than it does to be in, cash. So, smart money has a problem, and that problem is where to deploy their smart money. So that's it for the questions. Vacuum is on. It's going to get too loud to make sense of this. Thank you for joining me here. Remember, you can register at entplife.com. I got the link in the section below. I will continue to sell this program. I'm sorry to do it to you, but if I don't sell it, I don't know who else is putting together a product like this that is truly, in my opinion, offers a hell of a lot of value to whoever is signing up. So I'm going to promote it. I'm going to talk about it. Expect to see more and more of this on my channel. Until the next time, which is tomorrow, 7 p.m., I'm going to be talking about stock trading, investing, that sort of thing. Actually, all this week, I have a new video coming out every day of the week. And that's it. Thank you again. Later. Out of here.